Hi and welcome to our channel Bubbly, Alex and Laura. I am Aleks Bubble and this is Ego Talks, where in 15 minutes I get interviewed by my lovely Laura Bubble, who is behind the camera, and I don't know the topic of each and every week's video, but I know it's going to be related to the ego, and I'm about to tell you how the topic relates to the ego and what the ego makes out of it. So, Laura Bubble, what do you got prepared for us today?
Today we are going to talk money. Alex, tell us what ego talks about money.
Oh, money is probably one of the oldest topics there is, and it's certainly part of everybody's life. Where to start? Okay, there's a couple things that I wanted to say. Number one is that ego in each and every one of us sees itself as a separate entity. So, for example, my ego in my own movie here, my own chatterbox, it sees itself as a separate being and as from everybody else in a world that it perceives as hostile, where it has to compete to get things, it has to protect itself, it has to win over other egos that it sees as human beings. And so money has become its tool to do those things. So again, because the ego is such a sad little thing and it sees itself as a separate thing, it sees money as a need. I have to have. The more I have from other egos, the better I am protected from other egos. It tells you that the better life you will live. It tells you that nothing will happen to you if you have money. So ego converts money into a necessity for survival, protection, and to be better off other egos that it perceives. So well, imagine yourself in a world where if you had to build a little hero, and that hero is in a world where everything is against it and it needs to survive. That's how your ego talks to you constantly, even though you might not hear it the way I explained it. And so the society, which is a collection of egos, has accepted money as a way of a tool for the ego to protect itself. This is a problem because as the ego is always afraid, you connect money and fear become a very connected thing. The ego always strives to survive and to protect itself, and as it sees money as a tool to do that, money becomes a negative thing. It's instead of being a source of interaction and exchange in this world, it becomes, I need to have more of it, more than other egos. It protects me. The more I have, the more I'm happy. No one can do anything to me. So you see, money, it reinforces the ego's separation from everybody and everything because it's a measurable thing. So for example, if I have $100, I can measure that and I can say the other ego, the other person, has $50 and another ego has $200. You see, the separation becomes really very real and tangible. I can count it, and therefore I do not doubt that I'm separate than everybody. And so it creates a basis for competition, for hatred, for fear that somebody's gonna take my $100, another ego. Competition, as I said, because I don't have enough as the guy who has $250. And it makes me feel better than the guy who only has $50. So you see, money is a really measurable but yet illusion from the ego that makes it seem real in your mind. Like the ego reinforces itself because it's very comparable to the other egos that it compares and competes against.
Is it true that money can buy happiness? Can money buy happiness?
Okay, deep philosophical question. My opinion on money is that it's a neutral thing, like everything else in life. I don't always act around it like that, but I try to see money as a neutral thing, meaning you can make good things with it and bad things with it. It can make you happy or unhappy. But in it itself, money as a thing has no meaning. It doesn't make you happy or sad, because there's people who have money who are sad or happy, and people who don't have money that are sad or happy. So money in itself does not create happiness. It does create comfort though. It allows you to experience things in this world. But that's not the problem. See, the problem is not whether money can make you happy. I think if you are happy, you attract money.
Then,
Enough. For
then
what?
why money stress people?
Because as I said, the ego, look, the ego is in a very bad situation. Because imagine this, I created an image of myself, Aleks Udev, that in my mind has to compete or go against the world. That's how the ego sees itself, right? When I'm driving, I'm driving, and this guy is behind me. Is he gonna cut me off? This guy is too slow. This guy is too fast. When I'm working, am I better than my colleague? Why are they looking at me? When I'm walking or going in a restaurant, who's staring at me? When I'm comparing myself watching at the TV, am I bigger, smaller, taller, shorter? The ego is in a bad situation because it compares itself to everybody, and it's afraid always. Now, money is a measurable way to show that fear, okay? And because it's become such a big part of our life, the money, as I explained to you, the ego sees that if I have it, I'm more protected, I have more than other egos, and I am safe. If I don't have it, I'm not protected, I fight for it, and I'm not safe. So the stress comes from it because the ego sees if you have money, you're good. If you don't have money, you're not good. And because you see yourself as an ego, you're stressed with it.
And who teaches you what is ego? How do you get the perception of ego? Not of ego, sorry, of money.
How do we or do I? How do we as in society, or do I personally?
How do people in general, who teaches them what is money and whether they bring happiness or don't bring happiness or don't really matter?
Yeah. That's a good question as well. Some countries have introduced classes in school, but most of us do not learn about money in school, where I think we should have some knowledge about money from a very little age. Most of us pick it up from family, which is why they say if you're in poor family, you're most likely going to be poor, and if you're in a wealthy family, most likely you'll continue that route, right? Because you are trained, and not by words telling you, but this is the life you see. I see a poor life, and that's what it is. I accept this belief about money. It's hard to get, we don't have, and I'll never get it. And so I recreate that in my life, most likely. Opposite, if I'm in a wealthy family, then I don't know any other way. Money's easy, it's always been here, and I don't have any problem with it. And then I continue this. And so we pick up the idea and education about money from our family mostly. And then from the country we live in, if we live in a poor country, right?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of the same idea. That's why we pick up the idea of money very early on. Very early on, it's ingrained in us by the family and society we live in.
Okay. And can you tell us then what is then money actually? Like, what is money?
Yeah. Money is a way of exchange, right? I mean, there's many ways to explain money, but the first thing that we need to question ourselves, am I afraid of money? See, most people are very afraid of money, which is kind of silly to say, but it's true.
How can you be afraid of money?
Yeah, because look, in most countries, a lot of money is associated with, oh, this guy is working too hard, or has corrupted money, or his parents gave it to him like that, or oh, he's lucky and he just got money, and it's too much stress and I don't want it, right? So money, like a lot of money, it doesn't have a good picture of it, right? Because most people who have a lot of money are not presented as happy, abundant people, are presented as, oh, they're snobs, they don't want to talk to anybody, and look at them, they're so important, or yeah, good for your dad because he gave you $1 million and now you are, like, you see? And then another thing is, most people believe that money is actually dirty and as in physically dirty, right? Oh, who's touched that $5 bill? I don't like, just like.
Okay, but now
How
there
many-
are so many cards, like almost very.
True, but how old are the cards? 20, 30, 40 years? What I'm saying has been going on for years. It's ingrained in us, right? Most people are still afraid of touching, especially probably now with the COVID, etc. But if you're afraid of physically of something, you're not gonna have it in your life. First, and second, psychologically, if you're afraid of it, you're still not gonna have it. So people would say, "Well, I want money. I want to go on vacation. I want to have a house. I want to whatever," right? But the truth is, behind it, we are afraid of it. We say, "I don't know how to manage it. I spend it so quickly," and as I said, all those things about money, the negative aspects of money. So we might say we want it, but the truth is, we don't want money. But your question is, what is money? And the answer to this is, look, at some point in life, I guess we used to exchange things, humans, right? I give you pears, you give me apples. As simple as that is, right? But eventually, somehow, somewhere, a monetary system was introduced. I don't know the history, but it's actually quite cool because it's an exchange that is equal, meaning instead of exchanging apples and pears, you give me 5, I give you 5, you give me the value for $5, right? So it's a good way to exchange energy, product, something of value, service, something, yeah, basically that's what it is, energy, service, and value. Those are the things you can exchange for money, or vice versa, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's what money is, as simple as that is. I mean, I think the negativity around it is not helping anybody. Money is a very simple tool that help us exchange things.
If it's so simple, why don't people get it?
Well, I explained earlier what the problem is with money when it's related to the ego. The ego is never content, right? It's never happy. So, for example, the ego in a person's mind will never stop being afraid that somebody's gonna take its money or it's not gonna have enough money. So if I have $5 billion, I wanna have 10 and 15 and 20. Like most egos, that's how they'll look at it. Because the ego is you gotta remember, the ego is a stupid thing. It does not have any intelligence. The only purpose is to be fearful, attack. That's how it survives. Because as soon as you understand and you go, well, I need money to be able to participate in life, and I have for example, $5 billion. I don't need to have more money. Being afraid that if I don't have more money, they'll laugh at me, or another guy will have more than me, or I might not have enough for my grandchildren. These are illusions from the ego, right? The ego will always give you unrealistic scenarios. So if you listen to it, a number in a bank on a piece of paper is not going to do anything, because the ego is not smart. It cannot go, oh, I have enough money, I should stop worrying. The ego cannot make that sentence. It's not able to.
And is it possible to make it able?
Not the ego. You can wake up.
How?
Because the ego, if the ego is alive because you give it a chance to be alive. As soon as you realize it's a story in your mind that is a sad story, it makes you suffer, and it makes other people suffer around you, you let it go. Like you drop a hot plate, right? It's like, I don't want it, right? But because we've grown this baby, it sometimes it takes a while, and we don't want to let it go because no, it's me. Who else? But the thing is, the ego cannot be alive without you. Okay, so it cannot make that distinction that money is enough. You have to realize that the ego is insane. Justifies it. Well, wait, what do I need? How much money I need? What the life I want to live? How do I get it? And create it. Because you can. The ego cannot do it, right?
That is the perfect sentence that we can probably finish this interview, because we are almost into the 15 minutes, and it was my pleasure.
Yeah, just to wrap it up, one sentence at the end. Thanks for the interview again. The ego cannot have a good relationship with money. So if you're suffering around money, check to see how deep does it go? Sit down with yourself every day for a little bit and write things down. See how deep the emotions go when you talk to yourself about money, about having, not having, buying, not buying. Just talk to yourself to see how deep and where does that relationship with money start, because you'll be surprised how deep it is.
Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Okay, so till next time, I'll be interviewed with another amazing topic, and I'll be excited. Until then, I'm hopefully you too. If you have any topics that you want Laura to ask me about, comment underneath. And until you're thinking, of course you can subscribe, but until you're thinking about what do you want Laura to torture me with related to the ego, don't forget the most important thing. Don't struggle, bubble!